Matt Muirhead, perhaps better known today by his performance title Matt Doe. Now sound the trumpets for Matt Doe for show! Wait, what? Anyways, let us just proceed to discussing this man, but just before we do, I want to ask you two quick questions. Does anybody legitimately know who this man is? Does anyone actually know why I'm even talking about this random person? Well, for the case of this musician, you very likely fall into two categories. The first is where you know exactly who he is, and likely clicked on this video with a grin on your face, or are probably like, another one of these videos again? The second category is where you don't know him at all, but probably clicked out of curiosity, or for some other unlisted reason. Well, whether you know him or not, I will be taking this opportunity to give him a good exposing and roasting.
Can you hear the flesh and brass sizzling while the fireworks are mercilessly blowing out my mouth? Can you?
No, you cannot. Because I will not actually be exposing and roasting this man since he thankfully did not do anything worthy of slandering. Instead, rather the opposite actually, by providing quality performances and making thousands of people happy alongside his other band members, Leo and David. I suspect that most people who clicked on this video obviously know that Matt is the trumpeter of Too Many Zooz, but if you didn't, then yeah, that's what his primary role and significance is. But why him? What makes this trumpet player so special that I took the time to talk, draw these awkward pictures of him and others, and then put this video together? Firstly, I would like to say it's because he's a Too Many Zooz member. Surprise! And because I've already done a video on Leo all the way back in January this year, and more recently the King of Sludge, it would feel very awkward and incomplete to not do a talk video on the band's trumpeter. However, unlike Leo, where most of the inspiration behind this video came from a decision he made, or David's, which was largely inspired from Instagram suspicions, my inspiration for Matt's video is mostly coming from the need to complete the trilogy. So unlike Leo and David, where information on the web about their earlier days was rather scarce, Matt, on the other hand, apparently has quite a bit of information available on him, so this should make this chat a little more in-depth and personal. I guess for this part of the video, I'll just read the May 8th, 2014 article page from the Sun Chronicle. No words will appear on the screen for you to follow along, so you might just wish to skip ahead or something. Now, here we go. Even as a little kid in Foxborough, Matt Muirhead had the lungs. Then, somebody put a trumpet in his hands. Now, his lungs and talent are stopping even jaded New Yorkers on their way to and from work. Blowing his horn in a busker band, Too Many Zooz, Matt Doe Muirhead, 21, along with baritone saxophonist Leo P. and drummer David, King of Sludge, Parks, has added a stop to the New York subway system. The city's famously hurried and harried commuters do pause and listen to the band's driving, brass house sounds and by its music. A YouTube video of the band busking, slang for playing tips, in the Union Square subway station has gone viral, drawing more than 700,000 views as of mid-April, the New York Post reported under the headlines, Notes from the Underground. The feature raved about Too Many Zooz, saying the band's vibrant, heart-pounding tunes and impressive dance moves have turned the band into the city's newest phenomenon. The band's debut album, F-Note, has sold more than 5,000 copies, $5 download at toomanyzooz.bandcamp.com, the Post reported. Last week, Muirhead flew to New Orleans to play at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival with the High and Mighty Brass Band. Muirhead is a 2010 graduate of Foxborough High School, where he played under director Stephen Massey, then attended the Manhattan School of Music. The son of Marcus and Renee Muirhead, a kindergarten teacher at the Bureau Elementary School, Matt began his trumpet career in the 5th grade at Ahern Middle School. George Murphy was his first music teacher there and would prove to be a big influence. At the first concert of the 5th grade band, we were surprised at how good the band was with only weeks of instruction, Renee said. Afterward, we found Mr. Murphy and congratulated him on the sound of his new musicians. He asked who we were, and we told him we were Matt Muirhead's parents. He said, "Man, that kid's a horn player for sure." We asked, why do you say that? He replied, because he's always playing louder and faster. Not hard to hear, that kid. He was soon playing in the junior jazz band under Murphy and later took lessons from Tim Bowditch, Doug Olson, and Ron Christensen. At Foxborough High, Matt played in the marching band, the concert band, and for all 4 years of high school, the jazz band. Steve Massey brought his superior sense of music history, attention to detail, respect for the craft, and unflagging dedication to getting it right, Renee said. Under Massey, the jazz band went to Ellington competition in New York City 3 years out of 4 during Matt's high school career. He pretty much brought the house down with his rendition of Portrait of Louis Armstrong, Renee called. Matt was also invited to play on stage with Wynton Marsalis on several occasions, and Marsalis invited him back to participate in a special program at Lincoln Center 2 years after high school. In his senior year, Matt and 4 jazz bandmates, Brendan Thomas, Ian Ayers, and Christian Lehman, and Connor Skultz, entered the Charles Mingus National Competition. Representing Foxborough High, they won first prize in the high school small group category. Later that year, Matt auditioned for the 2010 High School Grammy Band and was chosen as the lead trumpet for that group. In a nationally broadcast event, he appeared at the Grammys Awards with the Dave Matthews Band. As a senior, Matt applied for admission to only 3 schools: the New England Conservatory, Juilliard, and the Manhattan School of Music. He was accepted and offered a scholarship by all 3. He chose Manhattan, believing it to be the best choice for a degree in jazz performance, Renee said. A summer before he left Foxborough for New York, he played in his former teacher Murphy's band, Horns in the House. Now, it's too many Zooz. What began as a few guys making the cash in the subway has turned into something much greater, he said to the band via email. We're excited for what the future holds. Wow! Who knew Too Many Zooz trumpeter had such an interesting musical backstory? And by the way, there are some videos on YouTube that you can watch of his pre-Too Many Zooz performances for the curious. Not sure if he wants to be reminded of those days, but I'm probably sure that he won't give 2 flugelhorns about it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many of them on this website. Just look up some of the former bands I've mentioned, or simply just punch his real name and some results should appear. So, Too Many Zooz. How is he doing there, and what is his reputation like within this band? Well, we can clearly see that he's often responsible for playing the melodies in their pieces, and is often the one who talks during the performances when he is introducing the band or just talking about other things in general. Oh yes, let's not forget about his occasional singing. That said, Leo remains the star of the band thanks to his dance moves and amazing baritone saxophone skills and solos. Though Matt is generally well liked and received, there are 3 primary recurring complaints I've seen towards him over the years. Number 1, his trumpet doesn't sound good. Number 2, he never acts like he wants to be there. And for number 3, which is also kind of dark, some say Too Many Zooz would have perhaps been better off as a 2-piece band. Let's investigate these hater complaints. Matt has mentioned that his trumpet is a Yamaha Zeno artist model with a Monet B5L mouthpiece. So okay, it's a high-end professional trumpet with an equally good mouthpiece, so what's the problem here? Well, the complainers say that he often plays too loudly, sounds flat at times, or just generally unpleasant. Truth be told, this boils down to the acoustics of the location, or how loudly or lowly the microphone has been tuned, if there's one. So, yes, I must agree that there is some truth to this, but he sounds fine most of the time. And no, telling him to go play a lower instrument like a euphonium, trombone, or something is pointless because he's not going to do that. And now, for the part where some say that he acts like he never wants to be there. Boy, can you count the number of comments and jibes made about this? No. Neither can I. The reason people say this is because in much of his performances, he doesn't move around much, dance, or appear as enthusiastic and passionate as Leo and David do on their instruments. And yes, I've also seen those comment sections where you have people comparing him to Joshua Gower, who they claim plays in a much more lively, professional manner than he does. You can just imagine the drama that would take place and how people would argue back and forth about who's better. Well, you want me to tell you who's better? None, because I take the side with the people that have said that they are both completely different individuals with different personalities and playing styles. It isn't fair to say that one is worse just because they don't move around as much while they're playing. This whole debate about who's a better brass band trumpet player between Lucky Chops and Too Many Zooz is highly subjective, but if we stick to solid facts, you cannot deny that they're both successful professional trumpet players with a music history that backs it up. And now for the part about how some have said that Too Many Zooz would have been better with just the drummer and baritone saxophonist. You gotta be kidding me, right? Much of Too Many Zooz songs would be so awkward, empty, and incomplete without the trumpet part, yet some have insisted on them doing away with him. Why? Well, part of it has to do with some of the things I've mentioned about how people say that his trumpet's so-called unpleasant sound makes the band's performances no good. And then there's the people who agree with each other that David and Leo sounded more in sync and better from those older videos where Matt was occasionally absent. Yeah, and those videos also weren't serious songs. All of their official songs have all 3 members with prominent roles, so as I said before, leaving him would create a massive hole in their sound. Thankfully, this is just the minority that has said this, and he has no intention on leaving or listening to the haters. Because you know, haters just be hating. Oh yes, should I comment on that nutty comment one time where somebody in one of their videos said that Matt and Leo were dating? Man, I tell you, when you're famous, people sure do like to come up with all sorts of madness. Their response to it? We're not. They do not look or act romantically attached to each other, so the assumption behind that was just straight up whack. Another thing I'd like to bring up are the other instruments these members play. We've seen Leo play the clarinet a few times, Matt the piano in studio, and though David has mentioned studying traditional African drumming, we have yet to see him bang out some tunes on those majestic African drums. Imagine how interesting it would be to see a song where you had these members on the clarinet, piano, and djembe. Or does that combination sound like oil and water? Well, I finally completed the trilogy, and I guess this is all I have to say for this commentary and discussion video. I'm Guuzaka Tube, and now I'm out. So that's it, guys. I finally completed the Zooz trio. Now, did you like this video? Comment, rate, like, subscribe, share, read my blog for information, and visit my Twitter page for my latest tweets. And do not forget to also participate in the polls in the top right corner. But you know what you can forget? Forget about listening to this lame outro. Now, goodbye. LOL, why do I always make these outros and then I always tell people not to listen to them? Like, what's the point of that? Seriously, why do I keep doing this?